welcome Thursday afternoon. Whew, it's been a very good, nice sunny day out here in Maryland. I hope it's been good for everybody else. I just realized I don't have music on. My ADD's demanding it. So we're going to turn some music on. We're going to sit and chat a little bit about your skin, what's going on, and why I'm saying that it's an early warning detector for insulin resistance. And you know what? I was listening to Dr. Ben Bickman, and this thing came up. I'm going to do a video. I want you guys to know this. If you're worried about somebody or yourself, somebody you love, a friend, and they may have insulin resistance, check your neck. Okay? Your neck is going to show up whether you have acanthosis nigricans, those dark skin patches around your neck, or those skin tags. I have a picture of the elbow up here. But they will show up on your neck, and most often earlier than anywhere else. So if you're worried if this is you and you want to know, check your neck. All right, so let's get some music going because I need some happiness in my life. What kind of, by the way, while I'm turning this on, I like a variety of things, but I kind of get stuck in a loop. What kind of music do you guys all like and listen to? I have this French channel that I listen to that I love sometimes. So that's where we're at. All right, we're on the French channel. Okay, now we can get down to business. Well, that was a really attractive shot of color. Okay, so guys, I am just getting ready to put up the video on skin tags so that you can reference it back to it, send people back to it. But look, at the bottom line, I talk about this all the time. If you're new here, you're going to learn that what I talk about is that our food is imperfect. We all know this. Do we all know our food is imperfect? That what we have today is not giving us what we need, and it's probably causing us to be sick? Because there's a lot of truth in that. So if we understand that our food is imperfect, and then we understand that we're eating way too much. You guys, this is not pointing fingers time. This is not making somebody bad. This is not any of that. The fact is we're eating too much, and both of those things, the food we're being given and the fact that we're eating too much, came from the food industry who's trying to get you to buy more food. So of course they don't want you to get full. Of course they want you to be constantly hungry because you're going to eat more food. Of course they're creating all kinds of new foods for you to eat, and they're processed, and they're stripping fibers and stuff out of it, and we're getting sick as a result. And all of that, stripping the fiber out, I don't talk about this enough. I talk about all the end results, right? The bottom line, you guys, the bottom line is that fibers, I was just listening to a doctor, because y'all know that's how I spend my days, right? I was listening to a doctor, and he was talking about the fact, we're so hyper-focused on protein. I like to make sure people get in enough protein, but I'm not saying you have to overdo it. I agree with him there. But one thing that he said is the one nutrient that's being ignored that we need to pay attention to is fiber. That's why I supplement. We're going to talk about that. We got to get the volume level on this right. Okay. Because that fiber is what builds our gut microbiome. That fiber is what keeps our gut balanced and healthy and keeps us away from having things like Crohn's and IBS and skin issues and heart problems and all of that. So in a world where we do not have the fiber that we need in our foods, is it any wonder we're getting sick? That's the real root cause. I got to make sure I can see you guys. You guys on Facebook and YouTube, I wish I had a bell for you. Sometimes I forget you. But look, that's the real cause. So I'm going to try and make more effort to focus on that fiber because it's all linked together. If you can start getting in the proper amounts, and it's not just like, oh, go get that psyllium husk and take tons of, sorry for this, sorry, but don't go taking shit tons of the psyllium husk because that's what's going to happen. But it's not going to fix your gut microbiome. He was talking about what I've been saying. There's a number of different fibers. They each feed something different. They each have a different responsibility in our body. So a one type or a two type of fiber is not going to work to get us healthy from everything that's been stripped out. Okay? So bottom line, we need fiber. That lack of fiber is causing the energy we eat as food to convert into sugar too much, too quickly, which raises the insulin in our body. So we took a big leap there, right? We went sugar to insulin. There's a gap there. Insulin is a hormone that's in your body to deliver energy. Insulin is a hormone of growth. That's going to be important in a minute. Insulin is anabolic. It wants things to grow. It wants things to produce. It doesn't want things to break down. It doesn't want to let go of things. It's like the worst little 3-year-old hoarder in the world when it's out of control. So if we're not regulating how quickly our insulin spikes and we're continually telling it that it's got to be in our body all the time because we're eating constantly and we're eating food that's imperfect, now we've created this monster of insulin resistance. What was once good now becomes this like tyrant out of control. Lipoma, but doctor said it'll go away. I've had a couple of lipomas and I have not seen them go away. In fact, I'm very cognizant of the fact that at some point I'm going to have to go see someone and see about getting them cut out before anything else happens with them. I have not done any research on insulin resistance in lipomas. I do know that they tend to happen for people, or excess fat happens for people who are injecting insulin. We'll deal with that later. But just on a side note, those lipomas, I can't say for everyone. I've had a lipoma right next to my spine for years. It's gotten better. You felt them inside your stomach. Well, that's interesting. You know what? If you feel comfortable with them, do that. But honey, if they're not starting to go away, you should be checking yourself and make sure if they're starting to grow and they're hanging out for a long time, try to find another resource for what you should do with those. Now, I don't know what's causing them in the stomach. That's not my area of specialty, so I can't really speak to that outside of what I feel I would do. So there's that, okay? In my experience, the ones that I've been aware of on myself and other people have not gone away, but I haven't dealt with ones inside the stomach. So that's new. All right. So we talked about this fact that we have energy, right? Food is energy. Energy gets converted to, we're just going to break things down super simple. So don't come at me for not using the right terms because I know them, but I'm going to break this down. So we have food. Food is our energy. Energy gets broken down into sugar. Sugar goes into our bloodstream. Why do we need insulin? When we have more than about a teaspoon of energy in our bloodstream or sugar, insulin is the hormone that carries that energy to every cell in the body to give it energy to grow. Okay, so every single cell, according to metabolic scientists, needs insulin or is susceptible to insulin, because if there's no energy coming in, they can't grow. Side note, protein, and I've been a big proponent of protein, but I am really a proponent of the 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I don't generally do protein shakes and stuff. I do feel like I get enough protein out of the food I eat. When I was powerlifting, I got more in, but you guys, how many of you have heard that if your body doesn't utilize the protein, it just disposes of it? Most of us are just told we're going to poop it out, we're going to whatever that thing is that they tell us. I think I was told that it just gets excreted. Now, some of it may get excreted, but I want you to understand this. When we eat excess, hey Farah, when we get excess protein above what our body can utilize to build normal, healthy levels of muscle, how many of you know that excess protein gets turned into fat and causes an insulin spike? So we're so focused on carbs all the time. I want to slow down, pump the brakes a little and say, I always talk about getting in a healthy amount of protein, and I want to make sure that I'm clear with that because I'm not talking about excess amounts of protein. There's a balance. Many of us are not paying attention to getting in protein in our diet, and we're getting in less than 30 grams a day, and that's not enough. If you're somewhere between 60 and 80 grams, depending on your size, use that calculation. If you want me to, I will do a video on that calculation, but you should be within that range. When you start doubling up, it's not giving you more muscles if you're not outworking them and creating muscle cells that are open to it. It's converting it into fat, okay? So you see these bodybuilders and these guys who are working out all the time, and they're taking huge amounts of protein, and some of them start to puff up. A lot of that's because that excess protein, what they're not utilizing, is going to fat. Now when you have the excess fat on, and insulin is still carrying that around, because that protein then gets converted into a sugar, then it gets stored as fat. Now, with men, when you start packing on that excess fat, because you're taking in too much protein, it starts to dysregulate your testosterone. Okay, so now your testosterone is converting through the fat as if they were ovaries into estrogens, and now you're fighting man boobs and all of that stuff. My keyboard just fell. So understand those, that this was really not the talk for that, but it's fresh on my mind. So I just wanted to kind of dump that information out there. Hopefully somebody who needed to hear it can hear it. If you have questions about stuff, ask me. I'm more than happy to help. Okay, so back to the skin. Remember I said insulin is a hormone of growth. Always remember insulin is a hormone of growth. It's an energy transport hormone. It likes things to grow. Because it likes things to grow, it's going to block the breakdown of fat. It's going to stop fat burning, and it's going to encourage fat storage. Okay, but that's not the only place that it does that. Many cells will start to become resistant to it, and then they start to become defunct, and your joints start to fail, and you're not building as much muscle, and you're not building lean tissue. But some places will eat it up like a kid in a candy shop, right? So a couple of those places are the keratinocytes in your skin. Those are skin cells. And these little skin tags, those are an excess production of those skin cells that they start to just get like bulbous. If you pay attention, you'll see them start to kind of grow. They'll be kind of like a little raised bump. You may feel it on your skin, and then over time it starts to protrude and it juts out from your skin like this little mushroom-like thing hanging off your skin. Now, how many of you guys have thought that was just, and I'm saying this because this was me. I thought that I'm a grandma. I'm in my 50s. I'm starting to get skin tags. So I'm like, it's a grandma thing. It sucks, but it's just part of becoming a grandma. And so here I am. How many of you guys have kind of made that assumption? Because I've talked to many people who have. I am now 59 and I have not one skin tag on my body. I've never had one cut off, lasered off, removed in any source like that. I simply got my insulin resistance under control, became more insulin sensitive, and when all of that feeding too much energy to those cells calmed down, they started to shrink and go away as new skin cells turned over and they were replaced. Okay, so there is an interesting, I was listening to another doctor today, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this. I didn't do it that way, but if you really, my computer just ticks me off. I really got to fix that. If you really want to get those skin tags down right away, then you want to drop to like less than 20 grams of carbohydrates for about 9 weeks, and then the skin cells will regenerate in a normal fashion, and you can like bump your carbohydrates back up. I didn't do it that way. I ate like normal. I did the intermittent fasting. I just ate what was available to me, tried to eat as good as I could when I could, and it's still reversed for me. So, but if you're really vigilant, you just want to know they're gone, then look at keto and doing less than 20 grams of carbs a day for about 9 weeks is what this doctor was saying. So Sally says, I've always had acne issues and 65, never been a heavy woman until your mastectomy in 2020. Is it actually acne or something else? I don't know. So you guys, it gets tough for me because I can't diagnose. I know that, with hormone dysregulation as we get older, acne can start to clear up or it can start to get worse. The mastectomy is the part that's interesting to me. I would have to, before I open my mouth on that whole thing, I want to go do some research and find some real links, because my thing is insulin resistance. That's not one I've had anybody ask me about, so I would want to go check before I start to say anything, as if I know something about that. Is that fair for you? And then we'll talk about it when I have time to look all that up. How's that? Okay. But when she brings up acne, that's a good point. Remember, insulin is a hormone of growth. So one of the reasons people with insulin resistance end up having acne is they're having an overproduction of oils in the sebaceous glands, and then they start to block off, and you start to get these cystic pimples all over your face, your body, your back, your legs, everywhere. And especially when it's all over the body, that can be a sign of insulin resistance. And I've seen a number of, for me, it's been women that have gotten their insulin resistance under control and controlled that body-wide acne, even after they've done all the expensive stuff to try and get it better. Okay, great. So let me write it down, Sally, because I don't want to forget you. I know I have this one about thrush this morning and mastectomy. I like it when you guys give me stuff to go for that I haven't looked at before. I like it. All right. So, hormone of growth causing these keratinocytes, but what about the dark skin spots, right? Where are those coming from? How's that happening? Similar action as the acne and the skin tags. So when you have those dark skin spots, what's happening is the cells that create melanin are getting in too much energy. So they're just spewing out this melanin, the color in our skin, far too much. So it may look like those dark skin patches. They may be rough and velvety, kind of that, rough feeling when you brush across it. It'll be on your elbows, your knees, under your arms, and your groin. Women, where you wear your bras, sometimes around your waist, around the ankles where the shoes rub. Those are all places that can happen as that irritation is causing excess melanin between the excess energy in those cells, creating the melanocytes or the melanin. So that's those three things with your skin. Okay, then they are. So when I say check your neck, and I'm going to do this video this afternoon, but check your neck. If you really want to know, are you insulin resistant? Yes, there's check your belly. If your belly's protruding like you're pregnant and you're not, you probably are insulin resistant in absence of like some horrible intestinal cancer or something going on. But if your belly's protruding, start addressing this, okay? If you check your neck and you have those dark rings, because I had these big black rings around my neck and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Hey, Jason, that is one of the first symptoms, whether it's on your neck, your elbows, your knees, that's one of the first symptoms you may see of your insulin resistance. And the skin tags are going to show in the same place. So you love someone, you think that this may be them. Don't be a creeper. I do that. Check those areas. If they're walking around, you see their knees and they're ashy, tell them they got to get it under control. If their elbows are ashy and rough and dry, they got to get it under control. I remember I used to work, I've done so many different jobs, but I worked in a production facility of all things for equestrian horse pads. I used to design them and help them make them. And there was a kid that came in, his mom, they were actually living out of their car. So they had a horrible diet because everything that they ate was super processed and had to be boxed because it had to store in the back of their car, right? And he would come in and wash and he would have these big black rings around his neck. And if I would go back and talk to that 30-year-old me, I would be so mad at her for the judgments I made about that kid. What I now know is those rings, because he would come in and shower, those rings wouldn't go away. And I thought, did you even wash? It wasn't that he didn't wash. It's that he already had insulin resistance so bad that it was showing up in different places of his skin, and it made him look dirty because of the diet that they had available, because unfortunately they were living in their car. It's horrible. All right. Processed foods are cheaper, unfortunately, right? And it's heartbreaking. If I would known then what I know now, I would really hope that I would try to help them a lot more than I was able to at the time. At the time, I was full of a lot of judgment, thought this kid was just a brat and unclean, and that wasn't the case. So I'm not perfect either. I've had my moments in time, you guys. So you had skin takes pop up in all those places this year. Okay, so that's some of the early signs that you have insulin resistance. What I would like to tell you is that it's very possible that if you don't address them now, you're gonna eventually hear the pre-diabetes diagnosis or metabolic syndrome diagnosis or just full-blown diabetes type 2 diagnosis. That's your body saying, hey, something is wrong, I need to address this. So let's talk about, everybody ready for me to talk a little bit about how we're going to address it? How long does it take to correct insulin resistance? Thank you, Jason. It does differ for everyone. It differs on how. So I'm going to go over the protocol that Jason and I both used. Jason, will you type your story in for me while people are talking, and then I will read his results out here for YouTube and Facebook. But for me, my A1C was like at 7.4. In the first 3 months, it went down to 6.1, and then the next 3 months, it went down to normal level, and now it's at 5.3. But in that first 6 months, I lost 50 pounds. The swelling in my joints went down. I could actually see my kneecaps for the first time in a long time. My IBS was calming down. Those dark skin patches were going away. My skin tags all went away. I used to have, you guys, I do this all the time, but right, because it just amazes me. When in the summertime or any time in the sun at all, I would have these dark, almost as dark as my hair, patches of melanin here, melasma, and every doctor, every esthetician just told me just to stay out of the sun. And I go in the sun now and I may get some freckles, but I don't get those big melanated patches anymore, because now we're understanding, the more I read and understand, it was linked to this insulin resistance. Once I got that under control, that patchy skin color started to normalize. So even if you'll see people who have like dark patches on their cheeks, around their faces, and it you know what I'm talking about, that is likely insulin resistance as well. So I'm going to start reading Jason's story really quick. 3 months ago, you were diagnosed, this is Haiti though, first Haiti. 3 months ago, you were diagnosed with prediabetes. Your A1C was 6.1, and today it's 5.4. So Haiti, that's great. And I applaud that. I agree. There's a number of people who have been able to do it that way. Not everyone is. So the protocol that I use and that Jason talks about gives people another option. Like if you guys can be that, I did veganism for a year, and I was working out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day, and I still was having problems. So it didn't work for me. If it works for people, I'm all about that. But in the meantime, the protocol we do is allowing us to supplement in those fibers and those nutrients and start to normalize our diet so our body can feel better. And it's scientifically proven. So Jason, 15 months ago, this is Jason, one of my guys. Jason says 15 months ago, his A1C was 13.3, and 30 days on the system, his A1C went down to 9.3. If you guys don't know, A1C at 13.3, Jason was heading to be comatose. That's a lot of sugar in your system. His doctor was scared. His doctor was trying to get him to do gastric band surgery to lose the weight, because most doctors are backwards, lose the weight and everything will get better. You know, it's address the root problem, everything starts to get better, and the weight comes off along with it. So he, at 3 months, was down to 7.1. And now his A1C, a little over a year later, 15 months, I think I just saw him say, his A1C is under 6. Yes, so Sally's asking, is there a difference between insulin resistance and high glucose? Yes and no. And so this is going to tie into something that Lime Green just said. He said A1C only measures glucose levels. And so that's the first piece. We're going to tie that into your question, Sally. Lime, I'm going to finish this question. How do you recommend measuring improvement in insulin sensitivity? What I've learned to do is like a multi-step protocol that I do. I test my ketones, and I test my blood sugars, and I test my blood pressure, because blood pressure was big for me. Then I watch my skin. But on those measurable things, yes, your glucose isn't going to get high until your body's already having too much insulin and being insulin resistant. So number one, you want to see those numbers come down. Number two, you want to check ketones. And I checked with Dr. Bickman about this, and I have this little monitor that I check my blood ketones. Urine ketones are not as accurate, guys. The Lumen device is great, but not everybody has $300 to buy that, right? So I do this little finger poke. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I give myself at least an hour to 2 hours after I wake up before I do any blood testing, any ketone testing. because there's the dawn phenomenon. And if you guys don't know what that is, just put dawn in the comments and I'll come back and I'll answer that. But there is a dawn phenomenon. So a couple of hours after I'm awake and up and around, I'll check my blood sugars, make sure that they're in a normal range. They're normally running around 98 to 102. Then I'll check my ketones. My ketones should be at least 0.3, but preferably 0.5 in the morning. The higher those ketones are, between 0.5 and 0.1 when you wake up, the more your body's becoming metabolically flexible. So that means the insulin level has been down longer if the higher the ketone level is when you get up in the morning. Those are the ways that I just check it quickly for myself to make sure that I'm still in range. And I get a little geeky about it. You guys, I do a lot of testing. Is this food going to break my fast, or, is this food going to spike my insulin? And so I really need to invest either in a lumen or a continuous glucose monitor so I can give you guys better answers. Right now, I just kind of test my ketones. If my ketones go down, by the way, why I test ketones, let's go over that really quick. And then, Sally, we're going to come back to this. Your insulin is 18 and your A1C is 5.4. Let me look that up because I feel like that's a high insulin number, but I was telling myself I got to memorize those numbers. Because when I worked in medical offices, we knew like blood glucose numbers, we knew cholesterol numbers, we knew all that. We were never taught insulin numbers. So this is one I've got to train my brain to remember. But just off the tip of my tongue, it seems like insulin at 18 is very high. And we'll talk about, remind me in a minute, we'll talk what that difference is. So the ketones, the reason I test ketones is this. If your insulin is up, you will not be putting ketones out because insulin is trying to grow, right? Ketones are little messengers in your body that are telling you to burn up fat. So if insulin is out here trying to carry this energy and store it, and it's wanting things to grow, and it's a primary hormone that takes precedence over almost every other hormone in your body, it's not going to let the component hormone of glucagon, which is catabolic, wanting to eat things up, it's not going to let it do its job. And you really don't start producing high amounts of ketones until glucagon is up. So I test my ketones when I wake up in my fasted state in that like 16 hour, between 12 and 16 hour. And, see, my last reading was at 0.5 in the morning. So I test that because if my ketone levels are low, then my insulin level is too high. On a fasting day, I'll test my ketones throughout the day. When I first started doing it, I wasn't sure, did the tea break my fast or not? So I test my ketones after the tea, and it didn't affect me. By the way, I talked to Dr. Bickman about this too. My ketones after having the pre-meal drink during a fasted, like it was a 10-day fast that time. I did the pre-meal drink during that just to see what would happen. My ketones actually went up. So it drove me further into this autophagy stage where my body's burning up stuff that needs to go. So now I'm missing a bunch of questions. Let's go down here. A lot of folks. Right. Oh, and then if you guys want to know about A1C and why, like Sally's, we're going to come back to this, why Sally's insulin is high but her A1C is low. I want to cover that. Texcom G7. I don't know what that is. Jardians threw me into DKA quickly. So thank you. You guys, I want you, one thing, please, is not, okay, so look, knowing what I know about Jardians, Trulicity, Mounjaro, those things, from talking to metabolic scientists who've seen what's happening and the damage that's happening, you guys, the drug companies don't want to tell you that. The doctors who are trying to push it for the drug companies don't want to tell you that. I worked in so many doctors' offices. I had 2 family members that worked for Big Pharma. You guys, those drugs are causing so much damage. In fact, there was another report that just came out about how horrible Ozempic is. Well, guess what? They're all the same class of drugs. They're all GLP-1 agonists, which is forcing your body to put out more insulin than it wants to. But it's causing a lot of problems and dysregulation. DKA is touchy. I'm not the one to tell you how to get out of that. I do know that with some of the dietary changes, you obviously cannot go into a fasting and extended fasting with DKA until you get some of this under control. So, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. The rest of you, please be very careful with those drugs. Don't even start them. If you're already on them, I want you to ask yourself a question, okay? Is your long-term health worth your short-term weight loss? Okay? Because you may get that weight loss in the short term, but so many people are reporting back now with devastating health disorders. If you're a younger mom who has kids or a husband or anybody who's counting on you to be here for another 15 or 20 years, be careful. I'm not saying that it's going to kill you, but I'm saying you're putting yourself at risk. All right, so what Jason and I did, Jason, if you're still here, will you start telling them a little bit about what you think of the system and a little bit more about what it did for you? Your Debbie is on type 2, on 2 for type 2 Jardiance and Ozempic. Oh, you have lost 22 kilos. All right, so I'm going to show you guys what this is, and then please, Debbie, remind me to come back and talk about that quick weight loss and what's happening to your metabolism and your body and your healthy cells when you have that kind of weight loss. Sally, I'll also get back to yours, but let's cover this what is the system that Jason and I are doing. All right, so it's very, very simple, and these are real food products. You guys, I know there's all kinds of people, and I make it sound like it can be complicated because I just have this scientific freaky mind who wants to try stuff. But it's simple. It's simple. When I started 2 years ago, I didn't know any of the stuff I know now. I mean, I knew some of it, but it had to be simple. I was driving for Lyft and Uber. I had very limited hours of time. I was struggling just to pay the bills. I was driving in COVID. There was very limited food and certainly no healthy food for me open during those 8-10 hour shifts that I drove. So yes, I had McDonald's or Jack in the Box, one meal a day, every day that I had to drive. Okay, so these are these are real food products. So these are just more sustainable and easily portable than if you were trying to carry a green salad with you everywhere with all the different vegetables and stuff you'd have to have on it. So this is a tea I drink in the morning. The tea gives me mental clarity and energy. It has components in it that get through the blood-brain barrier and allow your brain to function like it's meant to. So now anxiety, depression, panic attacks start to go away. You start to have a more normal production and uptake of dopamine and serotonin. This was actually developed as a mental health tool, but along the way they realized how great this does for metabolism and the fact that it helps you kick out ketones when you're in a fasted state. And so now you're burning more fat and you're becoming more metabolically flexible. Because you're burning your own fat for fuel, you're not hungry during those last few hours of fasting. And I'll go over the 16-8 fast also. But it just helps you stay full. You're satiated because when you're hungry, unless it's a mental, emotional, psychological thing, right? When you're hungry, it's your body saying, hey, I need energy. And most of the time we're eating so often, we have insulin so present in our system, our body can't use the storehouse of energy it has all over us. When we combine some intermittent fasting with a tea like this, it's a natural herbal mate tea from Argentina, it helps you get into that fat burning state. It encourages your body to use that for fuel. You guys, the energy you feel from that kind of fueling is so different than the energy you feel from all this carbohydrate overload. So I've tried those things, Will, and I do have some Shilajit here that I use, but it never, I'm telling you, I did the medical medium, I did all those things. For me, it didn't make that big a change. The other thing is, instead of having this whole, and I also know a gal up in Canada who had a natural health clinic, and she wrote all these big prescriptions for all this stuff for her patients that would come in. They had these protocols that were long and they were just like an ordeal. And she found this, and she was a little bit not sure of it at first. There's too many words running through my head. But now what she recommends to her patients is this, instead of all of that. They have to take this much of this and that much of that and take this before they eat that and da 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 da. A tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before you eat, and that's it. And all the stuff that we need in, have a water bottle that I carry around with me, and this goes in here. When I'm done with that, I rinse it out. This goes in here. That's it. I'm not worrying about all those other things, okay? And this is just plants. Jason, thank you. So I'm not about all those complicated regimens. If you want to recommend those to people, I'm going to invite you to go do a live. I appreciate the question, but myself and so many others have already tried those, and it just was not as effective. So this is what we're doing. Now, the tea, we talked about that, right? Energy, mental clarity, helps you burn fat for fuel, helps you stay satiated so you're not hungry. I remember, and Jason remembers, Jason remembers when we were like so food addicted, the thought of intermittent fasting, like I knew the principle, I wanted to do it, but it was just like my body would hurt from the imbalance, and I just felt like I needed to eat, and I had anxiety and depression. You guys, it just was not good. I started the system. Now look at me, I'm a fasting fool. I do 5-day fasts, I do 7-day fasts, I do 10-day fasts, trying to, help my body heal, and I do every other day fast, and I do 16-8 fast, like it's nothing, because this helps me get through the fasting stage. Now, then before I eat anything, so today is an eating day. I'm doing the every other day fast with Fiber and Jennifer. So now, before I have my meals today, I'll actually have 3 of these because I'm having 3 meals on my 12-hour eating window. The first one, I made up a Whole Foods shake with like yogurt and heavy cream and coconut cream and pear and a number of other things in it. That was my breakfast. Lunch, I actually had butter chicken, and then I'll probably have to eat the last of the butter chicken tonight for dinner. But that's all I do, is this 10 minutes before I eat. So it appears it triggered diabetes. You felt better fasting too. So that's a little more complicated, Debbie. Yeah, I would check. Have you ever been checked for type 1? Are you even producing insulin? Check with your doctor on that. And you guys also always, there are certain people who should not fast. So because some crazy lady in a pink shirt said, go do fasting, please check with your doctor if you're having severe health issues, okay? If you're pregnant or if you're extremely lean, don't consider, talk to your doctor, okay? Let's see what else I missed over here. So you guys, this has 7 different fibers in it, soluble and unsoluble. The doctor that I was listening to today talked exactly about that. I'll be putting some of that information up later. But he talked about how we need this variety of fibers. Do you know, it's like this has like 7 different fibers, but they're specifically designed for this purpose, right? So adding this pack of fiber from, he didn't talk about this pack, but just the amount of fiber and the variety of fibers that are in here correlates to what he was saying. Just 1 of these a day can increase your longevity. So we are dying quicker because we're not getting enough fiber in our diets. And I just, like I said, I stumbled on another doctor who's talking about it today. So it's not just me or Jason here talking about this. More and more doctors are talking. And somehow needed insulin. Then your pancreas decided to work again. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just going to think out loud a little bit. But when you become highly insulin resistant, your pancreas is being overworked. At some point, your pancreas gets tired and inflamed and impacted with visceral fat, and it starts to shut down. So there are a lot of people who are unable to, after a time, produce insulin. Now, if you've been able to reverse that and your pancreas is able to start producing insulin again, then what I would suggest is, I'll go over the 6 simple steps too. You guys over on Facebook, I'm sorry I lost you a little bit ago, but let's talk about the 6 simple steps. So for you, Debbie, until you get stuff figured out, absolutely work with your doctor, and I would consider maybe doing a 12-hour fast and just eating really clean in between and only 3 meals in between. Yeah. Well, but it makes sense, right, Jason? That's what I was saying, is like, I can't diagnose any of that, but when I think about what would cause someone go from diabetic type 2 to they're not producing insulin, that means their pancreas is shutting down. And that's one possibility for sure. So, all right, guys, to get those fiber packets, you're just gonna go to my profile. It's that time. I don't go there enough and show you guys. All right, so you're just gonna go to my click on that profile picture up there. And by the way, you guys, I love what I do. I love that I get to hang out here with people like you and Jason and just help and have really smart people around me. That's just crazy good. Okay, so when you get to my TikTok profile, you're gonna see those two red lights. Click on that link. Yours will look black right under those red lights, right here. That's gonna take you to my landing page. When you get there, it's gonna look a little something like this, big bright sunflower, because life is sunshine, baby. Now that I got my insulin resistance under control, it's not gloom and doom anymore. Life is full of sunshine, and I love sunflowers. So there you have it. All right, so click on that top link, and that's gonna take you to where you order. My name is Michelle. I've gone by Misha for over 30 years. But make sure it says Michelle Fayon on the top. Then you get to talk to me, you get to reach out to me, you get to get coached by me, you get all this special little stuff that I give out or do for my clients. So you're gonna click on the buy now. That's gonna take you to this page. Remember I said a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before you eat. So this is the tea in the morning. Both of these products just mix in water. There's no steeping and there's no crazy mix up, gotta carry this and mix that and do it. No, it's a packet that fits in the neck of a bottle of water. Dump it in, shake it up, and you go. We want this simple, 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 simple. I want people to get healthy. I want them to get their health back, and I want to make it as simple as possible. All the other things, can they work? Yes. Are they far too difficult for most people to start with? Absolutely they are. That's why we are where we are. Okay, tea. You can have it hot or cold. You can adjust the water to your taste. When I drink it hot, I only put it in 10 or 12 ounces of water and drink it up hot. It comes in lemon or lemon ginger. The pre-meal drink that I keep waving around, I drink that 10 minutes before I eat, helps me feel full, slows down the carbohydrate delivery, keeps me full longer. That right now is a special flavor is Apple Crush. When Apple Crush is gone, there will be another limited edition flavor. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then you can get orange anytime. Now the orange tastes like a light orange creamsicle and I love it. But I'm just saying, if you want to try the Apple Crush and you don't want to look back and go, dude, I should have tried it, try it now. Because you can get the orange anytime. And I would just start with the lemon. Then you get to choose between one-time purchase or monthly subscription. It is about $5 a day. When you do the monthly subscription, it's saving you $5 a month. You can absolutely cancel that at any time. You're not going to call us and have somebody say, no, you got to do this for 6 months. You can cancel it at any time. But you're getting that $5 off. You're getting free delivery. Now that's a $15 savings. Then you get this free hand mixer that I use for my teas and stuff every morning. Okay? So that's where you're going to get it. And it's important that you buy it from an authorized distributor because if you don't, I didn't go over. We have a 90-day money-back guarantee. We have a low price guarantee. You won't buy it lower price than you get it the same price I get it at. It comes directly from the company. You get a quality guarantee as well. So too much money for a 30-day supply. It's $5 a day. If that's too much money, and I know that most people are spending more than $5 a day on coffees, on junk, on chips, on cookies, on protein bars, on the crap that's giving them insulin resistance. So if none of that's too expensive for you to destroy your health, but this is too expensive for you because you're going to go down to 2 meals. I saved, it's what, $154 a month, and it saved me over $300 on my food budget. Because when you are honest with yourself and you start counting in all the little stuff, I was going to say a really bad word, all the little stuff you stop off to buy, you save money. Jason and I sat down and did this calculation one day. Jason, do you remember that conversation if you're still in here, bud? We sat down and we're just like honest with ourselves about what we used to spend when we were food addicted and trying to get through life normally, and it was way more than that $5 a day. Here's the thing that I found is that most people will buy these incidentals, right? But because it doesn't come in one big pack, because you're not going to the grocery store and you're not buying, like, look, be honest, how many bags of M&Ms or Snickers bars or soda pops or whatever that you ordered your Apple today? Yay! So how many of you have gone into the grocery store and said, look, I know that I'm going to have an issue this month, so I'm going to go over there and I'm going to buy me 30 Snickers bars. I'm going to put them in the cart, and I'm not going to give a crap about how much that costs, but you'll run out to the grocery store or to the gas station on the corner and you'll grab that, or you'll run out and grab a soda pop and drink that. Yeah. So Ozempic can run over $300 a month. Plus the fact that, you guys, I get a little excited about this because it's like it's so important to me. But look, I got to get back to my other guys here because I just lost. I left them buried under all this stuff. Okay, so let's drag this down. Let's drag this down and get my guys over here back. So, there's all of that. You guys, we make excuses. Life, we make excuses. We can make an excuse to be sick, or we can make an excuse to be better. Which one are you? Steve? Which one are you? Are you making the excuse to stay sick because that's where you're comfortable, because that's what you know, and it's not going to require you to make any effort to be better, and you'd rather just be there and be sick? Or are you going to make the excuse to get better and actually live life again? Because Jason, dude, and Debbie, man, I talked to these guys, and with the life change that's been happening for them for $5 a day, is it worth the $5 a day, you guys? 13 pills a day. I was taking at least $10 a copay. That's $100 a month. It wasn't getting me better. My blood pressure was out of control. My blood pressure was still running 180 over 150 every single day. I don't take any. I have not one prescription that I fill ever. There's not one prescription bottle in my home ever. My blood pressure is under control. My diabetes is reversed. My blood pressure is under control. By the way, that means that it's like 112 over 74 every single freaking morning with no medications. I don't know. I think the $5 was worth it. It just happens to be that I buy it in a month's supply, and I walk in my kitchen and I grab it every day and I utilize it instead of running to the store every week. Just shift your mindset, you guys. I can't help you if you're not ready to help yourself. If you're not ready to make the commitment to say, I'm worth it, then there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you be worth it to you in the first place. That's a pretty simple story. Okay, and I want this to be simple. I want people to get better, but you gotta meet me part way. I'm going to talk about this too. All right. When people come at me about, well, like I had one message a while back where somebody said, hey, look, if you're really trying to help people, why are you telling them they got to buy stuff? And then I get people coming on here saying, well, what about Shilajit? And what about berberine? And what about all these other things? Are they growing that? Do they got to go buy it? And I'm going to tell you that when those people sit down and add up all of those things that they're putting together, it's going to be more than that $5 a day that I just showed you. If you tell them that they need to change their way of eating and that they got to go buy, a fridge full of vegetables every 3 days, is that costing them money? Sure as hell damn is. So shift your mindset, people. You can choose to hear what I hear or not. You can choose to get better or not. I'm here to bring you information and to bring you an amazing system that's helping people around the world. There are so many people that are just on board for this, on fire for it, because it's really changed our lives. Now, you see me sitting here today. Let's see if I can find a couple of pictures, because that picture up there is me. by the way, 2 years ago, 270 pounds. I had a walker, I had a cane, I had disability plates. I was in pain. I couldn't get up off the couch. I would get up in the morning, I would drag myself to the couch to try and, pretend I was doing something or sit at the computer desk, and then I would like drag myself to my car so I could go try and make money. So the system is in my profile. It's called the Feel Great System. It's a tea I drink in the morning, and I combine it with some intermittent fasting. This does not break my fast. It actually helps push me further into ketosis. Then those fibers, those all important fibers that I talk about that have been stripped out of our foods. I have a big bin full of vegetables and stuff in there. I try to get it all in. But I'm going to be honest, I know that I'm not getting enough in. So to make my life sustainable, like I'll be on the road all day Saturday, going to some meetings. I'm not going to have a salad in the car all day long. So I'll be taking this with me. I'll make the best food choices I can while I'm out. But whether I had a salad or not, I would do this. This reduces a blood glucose spike by 27% with one package, and insulin spike by 13%. If you're having something like pastas and stuff, you can have 2 of these. It will reduce the insulin spike by 28%. There's scientific studies that say that. So now it's getting in your gut, it's filling you up, it's protecting you from those foods converting into energy too quickly. So you're not getting a spike of insulin, you're getting a slow rise of insulin that's not going way up high and taking long to come down. It's kind of like riding this middle wave, and then it can come down quicker. And then when you train it to stay down here instead of up here, now you're not having all these problems. That's what that packet does for me. Plus it holds onto that food and prevents my stomach from emptying too quickly so that I stay fuller longer. Do you guys understand part of the reason that we are so hungry all the time? Our foods have been so processed and devoid of these fibers that it just literally goes through us. If you took something that was like water to a milkshake, the water is what our food is like going through us. It just goes right through us because these fibers and nutrients have been stripped that are there to help us like time release that to our bodies. So that's part of the problem. Debbie, I just know since starting both drugs, your health has gone downhill. 22 kilos is too much. Yeah, Debbie, so I agree. And honey, if there's like, okay, I want to be super, super clear. First off, I'm here for your support. I can share with you stories about what's happened with me and with other people, but I am never here to diagnose. But if you need to talk to me about, what I've seen and how the system can help you, I'm here for that. And my number, you guys, I can't put it in TikTok because they just block it. But it's in that same link where we went to buy the food. Let me show you again. Because if you guys want to get a hold of me or download the ebook or any of that, just go in there. So let's cover this. Oh, I hit the wrong button again. Poking around. All right, can I do this right? I hit the plus instead of the 0. Okay, so right here, it says right there, contact me on WhatsApp. Anybody who needs to get a hold of me, ask me questions, just bounce things off of me. That's where you're gonna go. I'll see the message. I do respond back, and there we have it. Now, I do not respond back to people who are trying to scam or like, hey, can I be your best friend? And some guy from some nondescript place. I don't do that. All right, so don't try it. But Facebook group is there. The free ebook. Let's talk about that. This free ebook. There's no charge to you guys, and it's going to go over the 6 simple steps that I'm going to suggest. There we go. Why am I having troubles with words today? That I'm going to suggest that you do to get your insulin resistance under control. So here are those steps. The ebook goes over them in more detail. I'm probably going to be checking that and updating the information as I learn more from doctors. So the ebook. You want to get in fiber first before you eat every time you eat. The doctor that I was listening to today was talking about this very thing. And remember that even the bump of one packet of this, I will go back and get the exact number, but it was like 10 or 15 years of life added on to your longevity by upping your fiber intake. So when we're doing 2 of these, is there any wonder I look better, feel better than I did 2 years ago? It makes such a change in your body. And the fibers in here are actually prebiotics feeding your good and necessary gut microbiome. You need a variety of them in order for your microbiome to build correctly and in order to do the things that we're talking about doing for your system. 13 stone down, Jason. That's like Jason is half the man he used to be, honestly. And yep, it has everything to do with the food you eat. So I'm going to be honest, Jason probably does better with his diet than I do. I watch my diet. I'm actually writing a little book because it helps me too to have recipes around, and my ADD, I get focused and I don't want to cook and I don't want to, but so they're just simple recipes that are like, I don't even care about the calories so much. I was just listening to another doctor talk about how calories, the whole counting calories thing is a bunch of BS. Many of them are higher in fats because, again, some of the I watch a lot of stuff. They were all talking about seed oils and how damaging they are to you, and how these oils that I'm talking about and that I implement into the recipes are healthy for you. One of the things that we did to our health in the last 60 years that was negative was taking fats out. Stop buying low-fat milk. Stop buying low-fat cottage cheese and low-fat. Stop it. Okay, we don't need to do that. It's causing more disease and disorder than it's worth. Plus, in order to do that, they're adding a shit ton of chemicals in there. Is that what you want in your body? No, right? I will look at the BMI. I have not looked at that. I know that it needs to change. I've skipped a lot of things. I'm triggering. You're triggering me on some triggering, as in lights are going off in my head. Some things that I was going to talk about we just didn't cover yet. But yeah, all of this stuff links, you guys. Get rid of the seed oils. Get rid of the cotton oil, the cottonseed oil, the safflower oil, the sunflower oil, the canola oil. Canola is not a naturally born plant. It's a manufactured plant made to produce oil. Cottonseed oil was one of the first ones they developed, and it's a dirty, nasty oil. And you know that most of your olive oil out there is primarily cottonseed oil with some olive in it, so they can call it olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. Read the ingredients. Be that weirdo in the grocery store reading the ingredients. Look, when you go out to eat, you can't help it, right? Choose better places to eat if you can. Do I still eat at Burger King and stuff once in a while? Yes. Do I feel it afterward? Yes. I try to eat better, do better. And so, yeah, and the more you do, the better you will feel. Yes and no, Ambrose. Insulin resistance is not caused by eating fat with sugar. Insulin resistance is too much sugar, but those fats, and we should not be combining fats with sugar. I agree with that. But what is really causing this dysregulation are those trans fats and the fats that I just named, and the omega-6s, high amounts of omega-6s, because we're getting in way more than we need. It's causing inflammation, and that inflammation is triggering more insulin resistance. But the high amount of energy in our bloodstream caused by too much glucose in the bloodstream is what's causing the insulin to go up. And then when that insulin is up high for a long time, it causes insulin resistance. And where do I get this information? One of the top metabolic scientists in the world. I was so pleased to see, I watched a doctor today, he read a little piece out of this book, and then he put the book down and said, you've got to get this book. If you care about your health, get this book together. So you shouldn't eat an overabundance, especially if you're talking about like trans fats and sugars together, like donuts. Yeah, that's destructive. Okay, because it does burden your pancreas and liver. The part of that, Ambrose, that I took issue with is that you said it caused it. Yes, it can add to it, but that alone is not the cause of why so many people have insulin resistance. That's from the top metabolic scientists in the world. So, okay, go read the book. But you guys, it's in my recommendations. I don't sell those. I just put the listings there for you guys so that you can find the stuff that I talk about without me having to find links all the time. But yeah, there's a lot of truth to all of that. So, Debbie, I haven't read that. I don't. So when I cook, if I cook on a low heat, I may use some coconut oil, but I really don't use coconut oil for cooking. I use butter when I cook. Even the Italian recipes that call for olive oil, I use butter. I eat a lot of, it's called Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bickman. You guys, I'll show you it on my recommendations page just so it's easy for you guys to find that. Let's get there. So let's put this back down and we'll put this back up. So if you go to my profile again, click on the link right below the red lights in my profile, and then you're going to get to this page. So the top one is where you order the system that we're doing. The middle one is my website. There's a lot more information about Unimonte and Balance in there, the system and what each component does, and some science videos and all of that. But then there's also the ebook. At the very, very bottom of this is my recommendations. I get a lot of comments about my glasses, so I've listed them there so people can find them easily. But look, so this is the ketone tester that I was waving around earlier. That's where you're going to find that. Am I going to say it's the best one on the market? It's the one I use. This is the watch I wear to test my blood pressure and my blood sugars. Some people who wear a continuous glucose monitor said this isn't as accurate as they'd like it to be. For me, because I'm out of range, I use it just to make sure that I'm in range. And when I had my blood work done, tested my blood glucose and my blood pressure right at the same time, like they did my blood and stuff. And it was right there. So MCT oils that I use or add once in a while. I don't add a lot of those in. I get it out of the foods that I'm eating. MCT oils are very different. I'll talk about that in a video sometime. The ox bile and stuff I use, but here's the books, guys. The must-read books. So Why We Get Sick is there. The other ones I'm going to encourage you to read are the Diabetes Code and the Obesity Code by Dr. Fung. He talks a lot about fasting and a number of things in here. He has a recipe book as well. He has the Diabetes Code cookbook and the Obesity Code cookbook. Some great recipes in there, you guys. Dr. Giles, Why Calories Don't Count, a book I wrote several years ago about my whole life when I was doing powerlifting and all that. But all those books are here. I'll try to, as I find more interesting books that I feel are impactful for this, I'll try to add them in there. But just to make it easy, that's where you're going to find all of that stuff. And if you ever need to remember or share it with somebody, you know where to find it, okay? I have to get myself back in order here. All right. All right. I don't know. I did not watch that movie. Okay. Your doctor agrees to banana. Okay. Keto butter is very good instead of all oils. Yes. I can't remember any. Like I made the Marry Me chicken, with heavy cream. I sauteed some spinach and some mushrooms. And I used fresh tomatoes instead of sun-dried because I had tomatoes left over from some other things I cooked. But I cooked all of that in butter. I did not cook it in olive oil. So I will look that up though, because that's new yeah, so just go download that ebook and there's a lot of information in there. Ooh. Yeah, that's you're big. Jason's big on avocado oil. I have not gotten used to the taste of avocado oil, and I really was not. I don't cook in a lot of stuff that requires a lot of oil. So I like my kitchen simple, you guys, and that's what I'm trying to do with this book that I'm writing. I'm trying to keep it simple. Trying to keep in mind the foods that I'm learning from the doctors who write things like, oh, I need to put that book in there. Food is medicine. I need to get that on that list. But I'm trying to take into account the foods that they're talking about are the top foods that they would recommend and incorporate them in. Make it simple. Make it simple, make it simple, make it simple. I want this to be simple. Like if you guys want to go find big hopped up recipes and do all that, go for it. But I want it to be simple and sustainable for people. I want people to know that if they bought X, Y, and Z for meal A, B, and C, that they're going to be able to use it up in the next, right? So that's what this is. I like things simplified and yet tasty. One of my gals, Debbie, are you still in here? She's been sending me pictures of some of the meals she eats, and I'm like, what in the heck? So, yeah, I might try a pizza bowl Saturday when I'm on my eating day, no carbs in it, and see if that affects my gallbladder as bad as a slice of pizza does. It looks really yummy and tasty. My grandson loves pizza, so I'll let him have the really great pizza from Wegmans that I have in there, and I'll do the pizza bowl. And then I'm doing Indian food for my family next Wednesday. I, I don't eat a lot of it, so I'm not really diverse with it, but the few dishes I've had I love. Um, Debbie is on it, man. I love you guys. And Debbie, I'm gonna ask you if one day I can share those pictures that you share with me. I don't want to do it until you say yes, but there's one picture where she actually, and I remember this too. I remember doing just this very same thing, where she was had her grandchild in front of her to kind of like hide her tummy and all of that stuff, and she sent me a picture today that she's in the same shirt. And it's kind of like Jason has done this for me too. But in one shirt, you can see like it's tight around her and she's just not feeling good about herself. I had this picture today and I'm like, seriously, slim. She's like, the shirt just fits loosely around her. She looks so fantastic. And I'm so proud of what you're doing, Debbie. I'm so proud of the commitment you've made to yourself and the changes that you're making in your life, because that's going to mean the world to your family. Thank you for doing all that for the people you love and for yourself. All right, guys. So it's that time. I'm gonna hop off. I am really getting all of this stuff under control after a really super crazy summer of stuff blowing up all around me. I'm doing my best to be here at 8:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday, and 3 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. If I have a moment to hop on live on the weekends, I will. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying my life as you should be on the weekends. So here's the thing. Challenge for everybody. Put the phones down a little bit. Enjoy your families on the weekend. Okay? That's gonna, and I'm gonna dive off the deep edge on that a little bit. Cortisol and insulin resistance play into each other a lot. When we're not taking care of us, when we're not filling our hearts, and I'm not talking about taking care of us in a selfish way, I'm talking about taking care of us in a way that makes us feel purposeful. So share that time with your family, share that time with your friends. Allow yourself to step away from the electronics and all the messages and all the crud that's driving us crazy. Give yourself a little rest and give yourself some good sleep on the weekend. Enjoy your families and enjoy your health. And I'll see you guys in the morning. All right. Bye, guys. You're so very welcome, everybody.